Let me pose a question to all of you. Is it better for an episode to be bad, or better for an episode to be nothing at all? Hence, we find ourselves in the conundrum of episode 10 of High Guardian Spice, which continues on from our last escapade with the Fall Festival or Autumn Festival, whatever they called it. It's been a while. But, yeah. Look, I'm gonna be honest here. It's not bad. The episode by itself is a box episode. It's the character piece where we're trying to get all the characters back together and for them to be friends again and whatnot. Even though, once again, I feel like I need to point this out. The fight they had in episode 8 is not that big a deal, and it wasn't built up at all. It just came out of nowhere. And now we're dealing with the aftermath of it for half the episode, and the other half is dealing with Parsley and Tyne, trying to get a hold of Tyne's dad to let him know about the magical healing water that can save the forest from the blight, the evil root stuff we've been seeing. And their story is actually not a bad one. I mean, it's simple. Parsley goes with Tyne to confront this demon. Apparently you make a deal with it and it'll help you out, but Tyne messes up the spell and they have to kill the demon, which is why I have only 5 drinks this episode, because nothing really happens, but when the fight with the demon goes down, some stuff happens, including Parsley knocking his arm off into a bloody stump with her hammer, and then Tyne freaking head shooting him right in the middle of the forehead with a freaking arrow, which, don't get me wrong, cool, but we finally get the warning. Remember, mature content, we're allowed to show blood and all that stuff. It just took them forever. And one of the characters says ass. Ooh, that's worry of the MA. Hi, Goblin Slayer. Oh, hi, Overlord. Oh, hi. I know Goblin Slayer technically does have the trigger warning, I believe, for the first episode, but still, it's, when I think mature, I think, actual mature content, not something like this. So that's Parsley and Tyne's story basically done. Nothing happens. The only thing that happens is Tyne loses a picture of her father that she's been hanging on because that's the payment for the devil, and that's it. And they do kind of segue into it a little bit with Rosemary opening with like a little haunted story at 2 p.m. in the afternoon because it's raining outside, so I guess classes are canceled. Maybe it's a weekend and they don't have classes. I don't know. But regardless, nothing really happens. And then we get to the other half of the story, which is the girls trying to make amends, as it would be. Sage and Rosemary are trying to reconnect their friendship a little bit. And Amarith is trying to get Snapdragon back because she's not a fan of the fact that Snapdragon is hanging out with Sage, because I guess they're kind of hanging out a little bit. They're not dating. I don't think they ever outright say they're dating in the show or anything like that. But it seems like it was building towards something that would take place in Season 2. Even though I feel even after Snapdragon transitioned to a woman, I don't think they were going to stay together because these guys are shipping Rosemary and Sage so freaking hard, I can hear the Titanic parked outside my freaking window. So yeah, it's weird, and we see a little bit of Slime Boy and Parnell's there too, but yeah, they don't really do much except provide commentary and point out the no duh. You probably shouldn't use dark magic to affect your friends or to make them relive their most traumatic and embarrassing memories. Yeah, because that's the plan, to get Sage and Snapdragon to break up with each other and stop hanging out with each other. Amarith tells Rosemary, hey, why don't we team up and use this spell, even though Rosemary doesn't really need to help her because she's not magic at all, I guess. Because once again, I guess if you're not from which country, you might not be able to use magic. Or maybe if you're not an elf too, because elves can use magic, and we finally see Tyne use magic legitimately. But I mean, nothing really big happens. They try to do the spell, it backfires, and then we see that Slime Boy's a master of catching bad memories, because apparently he's done this before, and he can catch it in his loot. So I Bard, even though he even says, I'm not good with, oh, I gotta do his voice right. I'm not good with faces and names. Your aura's all red. You're not good with faces and names? Sorry, you're not good with places and names? You're a bard! Literally, number one thing of bards, bardic lore. You know all the legends, all the stories, or at least have the D&D and whatnot, you have a chance to roll for it. It's usually pretty good depending on what level you are. But still, the fact remains that that's an ability of a bard. This dude has nothing bard-related except the occasional play an instrument. I don't think we ever see him actually use magic or do any fighting stuff, because bards can also be fighters too. It depends on how you build them. But the fact, especially if you do Way of the... I think it's called Way of the Sword or something like that. But anyway, that's something else for another day. Once again, there's not much in this episode to talk about. I didn't drink that much because it was a nothing episode. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it just existed. And I guess it's a good thing in some ways, because I couldn't, find anything insultive. And this is kind of the part where the last episode picks up, where we're going to get a lot more blood and a lot more violence. Finally, I guess I would say. But that still doesn't explain the trigger warning for all the other episodes, because, I guess the one swear word or the one implication of hurting somebody was enough. But just doesn't make any sense here. And at the end, the spell backfires. Rosemary and Amarith has all their embarrassing memories come out. And they're stock. Rosemary stinks at a game that was like kickball, and she's crying. Then Amarith walks into a pole because she's attracted to a guy. And then she threatens Parcnell to basically turn him into a lizard and make him live in her shoebox in her closet or something. He's like, don't threaten me with one of my dreams. What is wrong with this kid? Don't get me wrong, I still like the fact that he was competent in episode 6 in that dumpster fire of an episode. But the fact remains, what is your deal, man? Duh. Oh, I guess I can finally say we now see some more of the characters we see in the backgrounds and like the in the opening a little bit. They finally see a little bit of them, like I said, that one character looks like Amethyst from Steven Universe doing this thing. But she's just there. We never learn her name. I don't think she has a standalone line, so it's still weird. And I guess I should say this, now that there's nothing with the episode, I guess I should finally touch upon maybe the openings and closing songs. First off, the opening song, so I like a lot of Japanese openings, don't get me wrong. A lot of the Naruto and Bleach ones I still say are really great. I sometimes listen to them when I work out, same with Kamen Rider and everything. But in the Japanese language, some things sound better than when they sound in English, if that makes any sense. Like Be the One is actually a really good example from Kamen Rider Build. When you break down the lyrics, it's still a good song, and the lyrics are really good. It's just that it seems a little out of place in some way. But here, it's, like, all of our dreams will soon come true if we only fight. And then it just keeps, like, platitude-style stuff. Like, true become the light, as we all learn how to fight. By true become the light, together we'll win this fight. The beauty and the lore, high guardians, you will soar. I'm like... And it's like, she's keep raising the octave, and you're only supposed to really raise it, at least from what little music theory I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but usually you do that when you're like rising with the action, but it keeps doing it, and the opening is just them basically doing like these little kata poses a little bit, and some of them, look interesting. We get a little taste of them, like we would know that Snapdragon's going to use a rapier before we ever see him. We see Amarith in her witch garb before we even meet her, same with all the other teachers. Even though some of them we don't really see them do anything, like the succubus demon one, that's the ethics professor. So, yeah, it's just a bland one. The visuals aren't bad. And at least they kind of time it with the song well. It's just that the song doesn't really feel that much. And then there's the ending, which, from what I know, a lot of people are saying it's stolen from an anime called Azumanga Daioh, which is like a slice of life show which also centers around female characters in high school. Hello. And they go on adventures and they learn and they grow and all that stuff. And it's just a humble show, I guess. Just a little slice of life, a little bit of comedy. And a lot of people like it. I've never seen it. I don't know if they're telling the truth. For all I know, it could be Madoka Magica. And like episode 3, one of them gets killed and they all have to start dealing with it. Which I guess I could say this takes a lot of it. Maybe a little bit from Madoka Magica. It's just that, it waited till episode 9 to really get the violence going, but no. We'll never know, because once again, this is only one season, and We only got 2 episodes left, y'all, and then I can start talking about good stuff like Spy X Family, Street Fighter Fist of Assassinations, which somebody basically told me to watch, and after watching a lot of garbage, I will eventually have to cleanse the palate, as it would be. And then finally, and I'll actually probably do that first before Spy X Family, but still, after that, I can finally talk about a series I've been waiting for. The anime adaptation sequel series is coming out soon, and I'm looking forward to it. Please be good, it's all I can ask of Kamen Rider Double. But we'll get some good stuff! Happy me! I just got an alert about Netflix's Resident Evil series. And the images for the Yu Yu Hakusho live-action series. You know, I only had 5. This is a preemptive for all the garbage that I'm about to experience from Netflix later. Let's go, y'all! 2 episodes left and we can finally put this in the background. Except the next one is the Sith. Episode 11. And if you thought episode 6 was gonna be when I was the maddest, it was. But at a second place is episode 11. Not because anything that happens to the main characters. No. There's a certain scene in particular that I hate with a fiery passion of 1,000 suns. But that's personal opinion. We will touch that soon because coming back, we bring up another straight male, Cal. You remember Cal, right? The other straight male, masculine character in this show who last time we saw him was getting shaken down by an orc. Oh yeah, sorry again about episode 9. Trying to remember like it was Mal or Malachi. I was tired as all heck. Plus, a little bit of alcohol's not a good thing. But Cal's gonna be back and we get to see him and Snapdragon build their camaraderie and work together and stuff. And if you think for 1 second this writing crew has anywhere near the capability to do this properly, you are sorely mistaken and you need a lot more of that than I do. But, yeah, y'all. 2 to go. Let's get this rolling. Up next, the Sith. And hopefully you'll be getting a lot of episodes showing up today now that I got some time to actually start getting the backlog going. So, see you all next time. Later.